Second up is Carolyn Johnson. Her name should have been Grace, for she is such a warm and caring person. She has shared her stories with various organizations, and some have been compiled into a collection entitled The Awfuls. This is available at our local library. Many of the stories are of her growing up in the Northeast Kingdom. Carolyn is 91 years young. She asked me, and I'm very honored to do it, to share some of the memories of her time here in Weathersfield. Tales by Carolyn Johnson. She writes, I've had the blessing of living for 45 years in Weathersfield, where, in my opinion, the majority of the inhabitants are united in a common cause for good. An event in early Weathersfield intrigues me. Consul Jarvis of Weathersfield was a consul to Portugal, and while there obtained from Spain a few superior Spanish sheep. The merino breed was so superior that the penalty of letting one of these sheep out of Spain was death. Somehow Consul Jarvis brought some to Weathersfield, where he spent the rest of his life raising them. They became the major agricultural factor in Vermont. It is said that at the time up to 80% of Vermont land was cleared of trees. This was done mainly to graze sheep, as sheep could digest more and grazed in more areas than cows. They flourished for about 40 years. But when the railroad extended west to free grazing on vast government land where no fences were needed, the herds could be much larger. Vermont could not compete. Carolyn goes on to say, I was the town treasurer for 16 years, starting in 1973. The town office at that time was located in Perkinsville. The town established its own ambulance service, which was staffed mostly by volunteer members who worked day jobs. The ambulance was a second-hand Pontiac or Cadillac. I, Carolyn, was appointed day driver of the ambulance. This meant I had to pass a first aid course. The first aid course did not include emergency driver training, emergency vehicle driving training. One of my first calls was midwinter, up a steep hill, on glare ice. The ambulance lurched from one side of the road to the other, and I was sure that I would end up totaled. I talked to the town manager and said, I can't make this. He said, you get yourself up that mountain. Get that sick man to Dartmouth Hitchcock. I did. The sick man and his wife and the attendant were very, very quiet as we went down the hill from one side of the road to the other. Somehow, I got them to the hospital. I then offered to wait to bring them back home. They both declined my offer. Once there was a call that was very explicit that the patient did not want me as a driver. And once a call from a woman saying that her father was very ill, but refused to go to the hospital unless I, Carolyn, bought the ambulance. Actually, I loved being treasurer. We were one of the first towns in the state who changed to an accrual system. As a town, we were most fortunate to have an ex-treasurer of Standard Oil of New Jersey who had retired to Weathersfield. He spent weeks helping me set up the system. Tax time. A perfect time for anyone with complaints to come and see me when they paid their taxes. A number of residents would come to my house on weekends or evenings. Some would pay me in cash. I suppose that's better than chickens. This I tried to stop. The library has meant a great deal to me and to my friends. Years ago, I had a collection of works by Weathersfield artists, which I took to the library to be displayed above the bookshelves. I was so happy to be able to share them there. I once admired an owl created by a local sculptor. Somehow it was worked out that I would babysit the owl whenever the owners went to Florida each winter. I am very impressed with the Weathersfield Directory of Services. Regrets? Yes. I would love to add to this dissertation the names of all the wonderful people I have had an opportunity to work with or meet over my 45 years in town. Again, my sincere appreciation that I have been able to spend 45 years in a home on 19 acres of Weathersfield land. Carolyn Johnson, thank you.